City Sports Now, 1420 WEMB Sports Radio. Listen to us also jetbroadcasting.live when you can't get the radio signal, or watch the archives on Facebook. We're the most followed sports radio station on Facebook in the Tri-Cities, and we thank you very much. And we're giving away Dollywood tickets to express our thanks to that. All you got to do, like that 1420 WEMB Sports Radio Facebook page, and then recite your favorite sports memory on our page. We're going to give away on July 9th 4 free tickets to Dollywood. I've had old friends from Pittsburgh say, hey, I'd like to go to Dollywood, this sort of thing. And they're putting out, what was my first, the Immaculate Reception, watching that. Boy, that was my favorite sports moment. I can see that. Others are saying my son playing for Unicoi County football. I had one father and, I think it was father and son, or was it father and daughter? Father and child, let's put it that way, watching the 2015 Coca-Cola 600. It was the last time they watched an event together. And I so relate to that, because I remember watching in 2015, in fact, same year, Steelers-Bengals, actually I guess it was 2016, Steelers-Bengals football playoff game together. And with my grandfather, who is not a huge sports fan, but he'd watch a football game. He's from Ohio, so, that sort of thing. And he knows I'm a big Steelers fan, so he watched. Now, the problem is, my grandfather, late in life, he'd lost just practically all of his hearing, so he could not watch TV. But he watched this with me. And if you remember, that was a rain-soaked game, tons of penalties. Game lasts 3.5 hours. Usually NFL lasts 3, but this one, even though it was low scoring, so it lasted 3.5 hours and it went into the night. And so he went to bed early, I remember, and the Bengals were winning at the time. And he says, "What goes on there?" And if you remember that game, Landry Jones didn't play that well. Ben Roethlisberger injured his shoulder. Bengals fumbled away the ball with 2 minutes left when they were trying to run out the clock. Steelers picked it up, and then with 2 unsportsmanlike penalties on the Bengals and a dead-armed Roethlisberger handing the ball off in a 2-minute drill. Consider this, you got the ball on your own territory. There's less than 40 seconds remaining. It's 3rd and 7, and you're running draw plays. That was Roethlisberger's arm. But then again, it was thought it was better than Landry Jones, or Michael Vick for that matter. Anyway, it explains why Landry Jones isn't in the NFL now, isn't it? Steelers win last second or late field goal after the unsportsmanlike penalties. 30 yards of them put the Steelers into field goal range. That was the last time I saw a game with my grandfather, and so I'll always take that. And so, yeah, I can see why that would be memorable sports moment. We got some there watching our kids playing Little League, things like that. I still want somebody to say watching the show each and every day. But we'll give you the 4 Dollywood tickets. And we're having a July 9th giveaway, so just like us on Facebook. We've almost got now 1,500 followers. That's big. We've almost got 1,500 followers. And we're going after all the other entities out there. Right now, I think we're looking at the goal I'm setting right now. It's not that we'll ever stop, but you look to a goal and you want to accomplish it. And right now, I'm trying to get just a few more likes. There's one other sports radio station in this market that we have more follows, but they have a few more likes. So I'm trying to get those likes, and then we'll move on to other things and other accomplishments to try to reach. So I want to talk about that coming up. You heard Matt Polly give you the sports update. I want to tell you a little bit more about Tyler Webb, who got that winning hit. That was his first extra base hit in Elizabethton. He played 10 games last year for Elizabethton, called up from the Gulf Coast League, hit .268, was only a 40th round pick. He comes from Texas and was a 7th place hitter in Ray Smith's lineup. But Twins only had 5 hits yesterday. They were only 8 in the whole ball game, and of course the Blue Jays didn't get any until the 8th inning. Thanks to some nice pitching by opening day, obviously opening day starter, Prelander Berroa from Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. He did pitch last year one game for the Twins, and he wasn't all that impressive. But in the Gulf Coast League, he was. He, had a 2-0 record with a 2.29 ERA. So he got the opening day start. The thing is, like I say, he wasn't efficient with his pitches. And then, by the way, JT Perez came on in relief. Perez was being sent down from Cedar Rapids. With his motion, he's never started a game in the minors, and it doesn't look as if he ever will. He's got one of those sort of compact, always from the stretch motions, That's not what a starting pitcher does. But this lefty, who was with Elizabethton also last year through an inning and a third of hitless ball. Thing is, he's sent down from Cedar Rapids. He's sent down from the Midwest League. So that didn't work out that way. He had to come through. And he did with an inning and a third of hitless innings. The man that allowed the hit and 2 runs in the 8th, if you are wondering, the pitcher for the Twins, who therefore had some things, I'll get to that here as long as the world's slowest computer comes up. Let me try it again. The world's slowest computer failing me once again. His name is Cruz, Steven Cruz, another Dominican pitcher. Let's see here. He was signed as a free agent 2 years ago. This is his first stint with the Elizabethton Twins last year in the Gulf Coast League in front of absolutely no one. He saved 2 games and 2 opportunities, so this was his first blown save. Actually, he blew one 2 years ago in the Dominican Summer League. Well, okay, whatever. There you go. Anyway, but guys just trying to get their feel and all of that. On the Blue Jays, I got to give some mention here. They've got a real prospect, I think, in Leonardo Jimenez. He was a shortstop. He showed superior range. Remember that. Jimenez. Remember that name. And he hit third in the lineup. Now, he only hit 250 in a Gulf Coast League last year. Actually, Gulf Coast League last year. But, now this is where it's a little bit, I'm trying to figure, oh, no, there you go. Okay, yeah. Gulf Coast League, that's what he hit, 250 last year. 8 doubles in 37 games, but still, But a third-place hitting shortstop with the range that he had, being able to go into the hole to his right, especially to his right. A lot of range for him. Some nice plays, tracked down some pop-ups that otherwise could have been Texas Leaguers. So remember that name on the Blue Jays. I like that one. Leonardo Jimenez. All right, for Bluefield. That's a player to watch. He's from Panama. Same as Manny Sanguin. There you go. All right. So, anyway, those are the players to look at, to watch, that sort of thing. And again, I would take on this the players to watch first for the Twins, even with Webb's winning hit. Prelander Berroa. I think that's sort of the guy, although he got taken out in the 5th. Modern baseball, especially Appalachian League. And Leonardo Jimenez for the Blue Jays. Those are the guys that you want to look at. But then again, Webb getting a 3-0. There you go. Johnny Painter has added here. He says, in front of absolutely nobody. There's a nice crowd right there in Elizabethton. I mean, I would say minimum 2,000, if not more, which is good for an Appalachian League game. Now, the Gulf Coast League, that's a different story. Yeah, that would be in front of absolutely no one. We'll give you that and all this. By the way, speaking of baseball, news story, the White Sox are going to put the protective netting up all around the ballpark. And you're going to see this throughout baseball pretty soon. You've had, there was a fatality at Dodger Stadium last year. But yeah, people are getting hurt by being hit by foul balls, and for that matter, bats. And so, the netting behind home plate, no one is saying that that's a bad idea. And people like watching the game from behind the netting and home plate. I mean, the Dodgers charge $1,000 a ticket. Actually, $1,050 a ticket to sit right behind home plate. Used to be $6 in the 80s. I know there's been inflation. It hasn't been that big of inflation. So those are now corporate seats and all this. And that's also why you notice those seats are now always empty. Even in Dodger Stadium. Regardless, people want to sit in those seats. Otherwise, they wouldn't charge that much, and they wouldn't, therefore, say that the 3 people that do sit in those seats under most circumstances, and it's, oh, you're the elite, oh, you're the VIP fans of the day in front of 40,000 other people there and such. Regardless, I think this is the way. I'm to the point where, I'm not against changing baseball. I really am not. I just think there have been some bad changes. Netting foul pole to foul pole, I think we can live with that. I really do. Of course, then what happens when somebody gets hurt by being struck in the face with a home run? Yeah, it happened to, I told you the story on how it happened to Sonny Jim Bottomley back in the day and all that. Yeah, one of the Gas House gang, Sonny Jim Bottomley, once was sued after a fan was struck in the face by a Bottomley home run. The charge read, in part, he swung at the pitch deliberately. And he took the stand and said he was only trying for a hit. And you can look at the testimony here. There has never been any malice before in my hits. He actually said that, too. That was teammate of Jim Mooney, formerly ETSU, now buried in the Urbana Cemetery in Irwin. So, one of the Gas House gang. There you go. I'm Marky Bilson. When we return, let's see here. Let's talk a little bit more baseball. We've got a lot more action. Of course, tomorrow is the NBA draft. Could 3 Tennessee players be taken? Bone, Schofield, and Williams. That would probably be the reverse order of which way they were taken. But nevertheless, I have seen CBS project Schofield being taken ahead of Williams. So we've got all that. And more. I got the College World Series. I don't know. Daniel Norris was on the bump yesterday up in Pittsburgh. And the Tigers actually won a game. Still haven't won 40% of their contests, but, It's Tri-City Sports Now, and I'll be back after this.
The Unicoi County Prevention Coalition wants you to know that it is